Hey everyone, Scott here, and today we're going to go over the top product categories beginners should avoid selling in. This includes anyone that hasn't launched a product yet on Amazon, or maybe you've already launched a product and it didn't do as well as you wanted it to, so you're looking to start over and launch with a new one. Product research is something I'm passionate talking about because it's where I see a lot of new sellers fail at Amazon FBA. It's not like drop shipping where you can spend a little money on ads to test the product. If it doesn't work, you can just move on to a new one. With private label, you're spending a ton of money to source your product as well as a lot of time, so you want to give yourself the best chances possible to be successful. So I want to go over the top product categories beginners should avoid. And before you say, but Scott, there's a ton of Amazon sellers and successful products in the categories you're saying not to sell in, don't worry. I'm also going to be going over why I think beginners should avoid selling in these categories. After evaluating if you still want to sell a product in one of these categories, go for it. I also did another video on some ways I evaluate product opportunities I find to determine if I want to launch them. If you're interested in that video, I have it linked in the description down below, so you can watch it after this one. I definitely recommend checking it out. And of course, if you find this video helpful, be sure to put a like onto it, and let's get into it. So the first product category to avoid selling in is what I would classify as tech products or technology products. This includes things like power banks, cords, cameras, webcams, smartwatches, Bluetooth speakers, products with software. Just give some quick examples of products of what I'm talking about. This be like this camera here, Bluetooth speakers, these type of USB wall chargers, or these little USB hubs, or little power strips like this, monitors, Bluetooth connections, smartwatches. So the reason why you don't want to sell these products is because one, technology is always changing and updating. So maybe your product is relevant when you launch it, but after some time, technology may change and all of a sudden your product becomes obsolete. So you're always having to play this catch-up game of keeping your product relevant. Also, these type of categories are extremely competitive. And you also have a lot of overseas sellers in China. So these people have very close relationships with the factories there, or they actually own the factories. This gives them the ability to get extremely good pricing that you just can't compete with. And it also gives them the ability to keep up to date faster on products, to iterate new versions of the products faster because they either have that close relationship or they're doing their research and development within their own factory. So all of that combined would make me want to avoid these type of products. So this next product category to avoid ties into the last one, and that is cell phone accessories and computer accessories. That includes things like cell phone cases, little screen protectors and things like that. And the reason why you don't want to sell these products is one, phones and screen sizes are always changing. So let's say, for example, you launch let's say a case for an iPhone 12, then all of a sudden the iPhone 13 comes out. More people are wanting to buy that one. Maybe the screen sizes are different, so your product can't fit that product. So you're always having to come with different variations or launching new products, which can be a hassle, especially if you're a newer seller and don't have the resources to be able to do that. And again, like the last one, they're very competitive and they're very saturated and hard to stand out inside of. So overall, I would avoid. The next product category to avoid is supplements. So again, this follows a theme, but this product category overall is very competitive and it's very saturated. Because of all the sales and volume that's taking place inside of this category, it attracts a lot of top sellers, people who are very experienced and have deep pockets for marketing and can do all the things, the ranking techniques, getting reviews and all of that that's needed to really be successful in this category. It's also hard to stand out because oftentimes there's not a lot of variation between the products. Let's say you're selling a vitamin C supplement. Well, it's not really going to be a big difference between your product and all the other products, maybe some slight differences in the quantities of vitamin C or something like that. But it's really going to come down to your branding, your pricing, your label, the amount of reviews you have, and how good your outside marketing is. So again, to tie it all together, very competitive, takes a big budget to be able to launch these products. So that's the reason why overall I would avoid, especially if you're newer and don't have a profitable product to help pay for launching a product like this. The next product category to avoid is medical products. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be officially classified as a medical product. Sometimes there's products that Amazon considers medical products or they kind of treat the same way as a medical product. So this includes things like blood pressure devices, joint braces, thermometers, masks, products like that Amazon is going to probably most likely ask you for additional certifications, or they might ask you for some FDA certification or paperwork to be able to get approval to sell the product on Amazon. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be done, but you have to make sure that your manufacturer actually has these certifications that are needed. And sometimes, even if they do have it, it can be hard to get approved for these categories because all the paperwork is in your manufacturer's name, for example, and not your name. It can just create this big issue. So overall, I'd avoid these medical products. And oftentimes, these medical products have a higher liability overall. So for that reason, I avoid these type of products, is the extra liability since it's a medical product as well. Another product category to avoid selling that kind of ties into medical products in a way, and that is UV or sanitizing products. The reason why is because it runs into a lot of the same issues as the medical products, is it oftentimes needs special approval from Amazon. They'll need certain certifications, maybe some FDA paperwork. So you really want to make sure, because you're making claims that your product can, kill bacteria, or, is basically like a pesticide type product. So you really want to make sure that you fully understand what's needed to get into these categories. But overall, I wouldn't get into these categories because, especially in the last year, they became extremely saturated. Tons of sellers jumped into these products because of the demand, and they're very hard to stand out with. Like these UV sanitizing wands, they all look pretty much the same. It's very hard to stand out with. That includes also these little boxes for sanitizing like cell phones and things like that. So for all those reasons combined, that's why I'd avoid doing UV and sanitizing lights. Now, these next two product categories are ones that you can still sell in, you don't have to avoid them, but I'd approach them with caution, and that is the toy category and the baby products category. And the reason why I'd approach them with caution is because, again, it takes a lot of understanding of the rules and regulations for these types of products, especially if they're a product that's used by children that are 12 or under. If you're looking into selling a product in one of these categories and I say children's product certificate and you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's a sign that more research is needing to be done. For the United States, a good place to learn about this stuff is the Consumer Product Safety Commission website, cpsc.gov. And they have all the information you'll need on what's required. They'll have all the information on the children's product certificate, what type of testing is needed, what type of labs are needed to do the testing so you can get the certificate. And in addition to that, I recommend checking out Amazon's help docs on children's products. They'll give some more information on what's needed on your packaging and other things that are needed to get approval to sell these products. And really, I recommend this for any product you're going to launch on Amazon. Be sure to check Amazon's help docs to see if they have any particular rules or requirements for those type of products, or to make sure it's not a prohibited or restricted product. And you don't have to have an Amazon account to read these help docs. Just search Amazon seller and then whatever your product is. So to get to this, for example, you just say Amazon seller, children's products, Amazon seller, children's product certificate, things like that. And again, you can see all these other types of categories that are here that they have documentation on. So if you're thinking of selling any of these types of products, power banks, invisible ink pens, hair dryers, baby feeding products, infant swings. So they have all this additional documentation that you'll want to make sure that you look into before launching a product. So I'll just pick one of these, for example. Let's take hair dryers. So they have all this information here on hair dryers, what type of standard is required for them, required information that's required that your product or product packaging has to have in order to be able to sell on Amazon. And Amazon is really cracking down on this. With some of the lawsuits and stuff that have been going on, Amazon's facing a higher scrutiny for liability for third-party sellers. So they're starting to really crack down on products and making sure that they're safe and they meet the requirements of the country you're selling in. So if you're selling in the European Union, you'll make sure you understand their rules. And if you're selling in the United States, you want to make sure you understand their rules, because it may be different depending on where you're selling. And that wraps up the top categories I would avoid if you're a beginner seller. Now, of course, there's tons of other products and categories that should probably be avoided, but that comes into doing your own due diligence and doing your own research when evaluating product opportunities to make sure it's something you really want to get into. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to put a like on it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I do videos on e-commerce, whether it's selling on Amazon, Shopify, and e-com marketing as well. And I hope to see you in the next one.